Most men think attraction is all about looks or saying the right words, but the truth is, how to trigger a woman's sexual side has nothing to do with words, and everything to do with psychological triggers, male presence, and one thing most men never master: emotional polarity. If you get this wrong, she might like you, but never crave you. If you get it right, you unlock something ancient and powerful, and it happens without ever needing to ask for it. If this resonates with you, if something deep inside says, "I've felt this imbalance before," then consider showing some love. Hit the like button, drop a comment, and share this with someone who's ready to evolve. It helps spread the word and brings more men into this space of clarity and power. That's why today's topic isn't just about seduction, it's about unlocking your inner strength and finally understanding the real language women respond to. Let's break it down from the inside out. The hidden mechanism behind a woman's sexual response. Every man has wondered at least once, what truly awakens a woman's raw sexual energy? And why does it seem effortless for some men, while others can't even spark a flicker? The truth is uncomfortable. It's not about looks, money, or being nice. It's about mastering emotional polarity without ever needing to beg for attention. The key lies in how your masculine frame interacts with her subconscious. And once you understand that, everything about female desire starts to make sense, but only if you're willing to see what most men miss. Imagine walking into a room and saying nothing, but she feels you, not because you're loud, but because your male presence speaks before your mouth ever moves. This isn't charisma. It's a language rooted in nonverbal cues, where your posture, silence, and micro-reactions say more than 100 compliments. Most men chase words, but women respond to the subtle dominance they sense when a man stands in his center. That's when the sexual tension begins. Quiet, electric, and completely outside logic. You don't trigger a woman's sexual side by asking her how. That's like asking a storm when it plans to rain. You create the conditions, and nature responds. This is where most guys sabotage themselves. They try to please, to perform, to convince. But what flips the switch isn't external effort. It's internal grounding. When a man owns his inner strength and stops explaining himself, she feels the shift. That shift is the psychological trigger. Subtle, powerful, and impossible to fake. Here's a brutal truth. Women are biologically wired to test your center. Not maliciously, but instinctively. They're searching for emotional control, for the man who won't flinch when challenged, the one who can hold provocative tension without breaking. Think about it. If you can't handle her light push, how will you hold space for her deepest wildness? That's why your alpha mindset isn't loud or reactive. It's still observant and unshakable. That's the man her body remembers, even if her mind denies it. Let's talk about the myth of being nice. Niceness is safe, polite, predictable, but it doesn't stir the sexual psychology of a woman. She doesn't crave what's easy to control. She craves what makes her feel. And seductive authority makes her feel everything. Uncertainty, fire, surrender. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be felt. That's the difference between a man she dates and a man who leaves a mark. Magnetic presence doesn't beg. It draws. So how does this show up in real life? Think of a man walking with calm purpose. He doesn't rush, doesn't adjust himself for approval. He listens with intent, speaks with clarity, and holds silent confidence even when misunderstood. That's assertive leadership in practice. And guess what? She notices. Not consciously maybe, but her body tracks every microsignal. And the more you lead yourself with conviction, the more she softens without knowing why. That's the natural attraction you've been told is a mystery. It's not. Let me tell you about Jason. He was the guy who always did everything right. Flowers, dates, compliments. Yet every relationship left him confused. I gave her everything. Why did she lose interest? One day, he stopped asking what she wanted and started focusing on his own edges. He trained his focus, sharpened his boundaries, and developed dominant behavior rooted in calm. Within weeks, something changed. Women began leaning in. His energy no longer asked, it invited. That's the power of response calibration. The moment Jason stopped over-explaining and just was, the dynamics flipped. One woman he'd known for years, who never saw him that way, started texting him at night. Not because he changed his hair, his clothes, or used a script, but because his masculine frame finally stabilized. She felt something shift, something primal, and that's what female desire responds to. Not logic, but emotional vibration. That's the power of showing up differently, not louder, not needier, just more grounded, and less available for nonsense. Here's what most guys miss. Women don't want to think about desire. They want to feel it. And mental stimulation matters, but only when it's embodied. If your words are clever, but your body screams insecurity, she disconnects. Fast. Her system is wired to detect contradictions between what you say and what you signal. That's why your nonverbal cues matter more than you think. Eye contact, posture, pauses. That's the real foreplay. Not what you say, but how still you stay. There's a difference between chasing and leading. Chasing seeks approval. Leading creates direction. When a man leads with emotional control, he doesn't force her to follow. He simply walks where his truth leads, and she chooses whether or not to come. That choice creates sexual tension. It's the space where her curiosity brews. And without that space, there's no polarity. You can't spark fire without distance. You must let her come closer because she wants to, not because you pulled. Let's go deeper. Women don't fall for control, they fall for containment. Think of it like this. She wants to pour out her emotions, her chaos, her unpredictability, and she needs to know you won't drown. That's stoicism in action. Not detachment, but calm spaciousness. You contain the moment without collapsing. That's what behavioral patterns of deeply attractive men show. They're not emotionally dead, they're emotionally disciplined. That's the difference. And it makes all the difference when her body begins to respond. You might wonder, how do I train this? How do I build magnetic presence and stop overthinking every move? Start by watching yourself in conversation. Do you interrupt? Do you nervously fill silence? Begin with 5-second pauses before responding. Practice making eye contact without smiling. Study microexpressions. Dr. Paul Ekman's work is a great resource. Track your breath. Is it shallow or grounded? These small practices are your gym for inner tension. That's how you build subtle dominance, not by acting, but by integrating. Let's bring it back to her. When you change your energy, her mirror neurons pick it up. She doesn't think, he's more attractive now. She just feels something click. That click is her psychological trigger firing. You've crossed into sexual polarity without touching her. You've entered her system through sexual energy, not suggestion. And from there, all the techniques become optional. Because the tension has already been seeded. Your silence does more than 1,000 texts. Your breath becomes the invitation. Ever been on a date where things should have gone somewhere, but didn't? You were funny, polite, checked every box, and yet she ghosted. That wasn't a failure in performance. It was a lack of emotional leverage. You didn't move her. Not emotionally, not physically. She couldn't feel anything. You see, women don't remember the facts. They remember the charge, the atmosphere, the energy. You were safe, but not felt. And that's what needs to change. Safety doesn't trigger. Tension does. Most men think women want peace, but it's not peace they crave. It's presence. Presence that holds without apologizing. And if what you're learning right now is lighting something up inside you, if it's making you rethink everything you were taught about connection, desire, or even yourself, then don't just keep this to yourself. This kind of awareness changes lives. So here's the move. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and join a space where men wake up to power they didn't know they had. Because this is just the beginning. Let's go deeper. When a woman senses that you're not trying to impress her, but rather trying to express yourself fully, she begins to relax. And in that relaxation, something primal starts to stir. Your lack of performative effort allows her to feel her own mystery. That's the paradox. When you stop chasing, she starts discovering. This is the power of strategic withdrawal, not disappearing to manipulate, but stepping back to let her curiosity grow. Her sexual side emerges not when you force it, but when you give it space. Let her reach, let her wonder. Let her feel that you could walk away at any moment, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. That's dominant behavior at its most refined. It's not controlling her, it's controlling your own access. You don't reward lukewarm energy. You don't perform for breadcrumbs. You stay grounded in your alpha mindset, allowing her to meet you where you are. This balance creates emotional polarity so intense she won't even understand why her thoughts keep circling back to you. One of the most misunderstood traits in high-value men is assertive leadership. Not barked orders, not macho aggression, but clear, calm, directional energy. You don't ask a woman how to lead her, you lead yourself and invite her along. It's in how you make decisions, how you walk ahead and open the door. How you say, we're going here, not where do you want to go. That tone, that decisiveness, triggers her sexual psychology, because under control, she finds freedom. Under chaos, she shuts down. She wants to be seen but not stared at, touched but not groped, heard but not judged. To truly understand her erotic nature, you have to learn the rhythm of response calibration. You turn the dial slowly, you read her pauses, not just her words, and when she offers softness, you don't devour it. You hold it. That's what builds sexual tension. Not pressure, but precision. A man who can contain is rare. A man who can do it while staying playful, unforgettable. Let's make it even more real. You're on a date. She's smiling, sipping her drink, making eye contact. You lean in just slightly, say less than you could, and allow the silence to linger. That pause? That's tension. And when you keep eye contact while slowly sipping your own drink, she feels a shift. Her body responds before her brain does. That's sexual energy without touch. That's the language of silent confidence. You said nothing, but your male presence just changed the mood entirely. This is why so many men fail even after doing everything right. They forget that arousal isn't linear, it's behavioral and emotional. You can't logic your way into her body, you have to learn to read her nervous system. And if yours is jittery, unsure, seeking validation, she won't open. But if your nervous system is calm, slow, and focused, she mirrors it. That's the power of magnetic presence. You don't speak it, you are it. She doesn't choose you, she feels you. There's a reason she says things like, I just feel safe with him, even if he's not the biggest, richest, or most handsome guy in the room. It's because his inner strength doesn't shake. He doesn't need to perform. He doesn't need to outtalk or outshine anyone. His power is internal. She feels his emotional control and how he responds when challenged. No rush, no panic, just grounded presence. That's the anchor her nervous system is secretly scanning for every time she's near a man. Let's strip it all down. You don't need to memorize pickup lines. You don't need a new cologne. You need depth. And depth begins when you stop trying to prove anything and start observing everything. When you become fascinated by the nuance of her reactions, her breath, her blink, her silence, you unlock psychological triggers no words can reach. Because women don't want another act. They want a man rooted in truth. And truth carries its own weight. That's where real sexual polarity begins. Have you ever noticed how some men say less, yet leave more impact? That's not magic. That's stoicism fused with emotional leverage. It's the art of being present without needing to be the center. The energy says, I'm here, but I'm not desperate to stay. That contrast creates a mystery women chase. Why? Because it gives her space to discover. And provocative tension lives in discovery. She doesn't want all the answers. She wants to find them in your silence, your steadiness, your unpredictable stillness. Now let's be real. You will be tested. That's not a glitch in the system. It's the system. She'll pull back. She'll say something sharp. She might flirt with detachment just to see if you bend. Don't. This is where you practice behavioral patterns that hold. You don't match her chaos, you anchor deeper into calm. You smile, stay present, and respond with nonverbal cues that say, I see you, but I won't chase you. That's the moment she realizes you're different. Men who operate from scarcity panic in those moments. They cling, they question, they over-explain. But a man grounded in sexual psychology understands the value of detachment. Not to punish, but to protect the dynamic. You give her room to miss your energy. That's strategic withdrawal at its finest. She needs to feel the contrast between your presence and your absence. That's how you become unforgettable. Not by being everywhere, but by being missed the moment you're not. So how do you build this? Start by setting internal boundaries. What will you no longer tolerate from yourself? Neediness? Overtexting? Seeking constant validation? Replace those habits with self-checks. Journal your reactions. Practice breathwork before responding to tension. Study dominant behavior, not as aggression, but as stillness under fire. That's the practice. And when you stumble, and you will, return to center. That's how masculine frame is forged, not through perfection, but through repeated returns to grounded power. There's a moment right before things escalate with a woman where time slows, her pupils dilate, her body shifts closer, her breath shortens, and she looks not just at you, but into you. That's when sexual energy peaks. And your job? Don't rush. Hold it. That's where most men fail. They break the moment with jokes, over-eagerness, or self-doubt. But a man trained in response calibration knows that pause is everything. In that pause, she melts. A man who can pause at the peak of heat, who can stretch a moment instead of collapsing into it, is rare. That's not indifference. That's emotional control. And that kind of mastery doesn't scream, it whispers. It creates female desire, not through pressure, but through presence. You don't need to dominate the space, you become the space, the invitation, the calm in her storm. That's what makes her feel safe enough to surrender. And in that surrender, her full sexual side finally awakens. Remember, tension is a gift. It's what keeps passion alive. It's not something to avoid, it's something to hold. Practice this in small ways. Don't rush to reply. Don't always fill the silence. Don't over-validate. Let her sit in the unknown. Let her wonder. That's how sexual tension grows. It's not created in the bedroom. It starts the moment you walk into a room and say nothing. That's where silent confidence whispers louder than charm ever could. And she hears it. Some men think triggering her sexual side means being provocative. It doesn't. It means being available, but not needy, powerful without pressure, present without begging. When you operate from your alpha mindset, women don't feel used. They feel seen. That's the paradox. You don't have to push for sex to create a sexual response. You just need to stop disconnecting from your own body. Because when you're fully embodied, she feels it. And her response is not forced. It's natural. That's natural attraction at work. You may lose women when you shift into this. Some won't recognize this version of you. Others will test it. Let them. That's the filtration system working. You're not meant for everyone. You're meant for the few who can meet your depth. This is the cost of embodying magnetic presence. You stand out, you shake comfort zones, you become the mirror. Not all will stay. But the ones who do won't ever forget how you made them feel. That's the legacy of masculine frame. Your job isn't to impress, it's to express. It's to explore the edges of your own clarity and carry that into every interaction. Whether it's a date, a relationship, or casual encounter, you lead with who you are. Fully. That's how you build seductive authority without becoming manipulative. You offer grounded mystery. You listen with depth. You respond with weight. And slowly, she opens. Not to your tactics, but to your truth. Because women aren't drawn to performances. They're drawn to power. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most men. Not because you memorized anything, but because you felt something shift inside you. This shift isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about returning to what's been buried under years of conditioning. That deep, still male presence you once knew before the world told you to shrink. Reclaim it. Live from it. And watch how women start responding without knowing why. Not because you played a game, but because you stopped playing one. This isn't about seduction, it's about sovereignty. When you operate from wholeness, female desire becomes less of a goal and more of a side effect. The more rooted you are, the more you attract from the nervous system up. No chasing, no masks, just alignment. And that's the key to triggering a woman's sexual side. Not by pushing buttons, but by becoming the man who is the button, the standard, the presence, the frame she wants to surrender into, without ever being told. So now the question is, will you keep showing up as the man who seeks approval? Or will you start showing up as the man who triggers desire by simply being? Because everything you've just heard only works if you apply it. Real power isn't in knowing, it's in embodying. What's one behavior you know you need to drop starting today? Or one thing you're committed to practicing from now on? Drop it in the comments. Right? No more chasing, I choose presence. Let that be your declaration. And hey, if you stayed with me till the end, thank you. Truly. It means you're not like most. It means you're ready for more than surface advice. So do this now, like the video. Send it to one man who needs to hear this. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. This space is for men who are done playing small, and if you're one of them, I'll see you in the next one.